The title race is gearing up to be exciting, exhilarating, now biting, not just for Man City and Arsenal fans, respectively, but also football fans in general. It's set up to be one of the best title run ins we've seen in years. A young, up and coming team in Arsenal with a fledgling manager in comparison to the fights we've seen between Klopp and Pep in recent years and other managerial battles in the lifespan of the Premier League. You have the stalwarts in Man City that have dominated English football for the past 5 to 6 years, who are hunting down a treble themselves. Arsenal dropped points at the weekend to Liverpool away. I've seen a lot of Arsenal fans kind of shy away from social media. I've seen rivals say, that's it, it's done, it's over. But they still have a 6 point gap on top of the league. And I want to gauge your view and opinion today. How do you see this title race going? We're going to take a look at what some experts and some fans and some ex-pros have had to say on this situation. But who are you backing and why? 6 point gap for Arsenal. Yes, Man City have a game in hand, but they're fighting on all fronts. How do you see it going? I want to hear from you in the comment section now. Let's take a little listen here, first of all, to what Ian Wright has had to say to Sky Sports regarding the title run-in.
Yeah, I do believe they can go all the way. I have to believe that because there's no way I'm going to stand here and watch them go through a season where they've been absolutely magnificent up to this point and say anything that's going to be negative, whether I believe it or not. The fact is, I believe we can do it. It's in our hands. Manchester City are a formidable opponent. Obviously, we've seen what they're capable of doing.
I want to stop right there for a moment. And he said one thing there that is so important. A lot of people have now said it's in City's hands, but it's also in Arsenal's. That hasn't changed. That hasn't changed at all. They've got a 6 point gap. Yes, there's a game in hand that would make it a 3 point gap. It's still a 3 point gap. They play each other at the Etihad. All Arsenal have to do is avoid defeat in that game, and it's advantage to them again. And do none of us believe that Arsenal can get a point away from home at the Etihad? Genuine question. Do you not believe that is possible?
And what they have done, we've got a young team that are learning on a regular basis how to deal with the pressures they're dealing with. They've done it up to this point all season. You know, there's not many games I can look back at with our team and say, oh, that was a game they didn't perform. They've done it in every game they've performed. And what they're doing now is unbelievable. At the start of the season, of course, fourth place was the goal, but we've been there so long now. Why should you not try and go for it?
And I think Wright is correct there. Yes, the pre-season expectations were qualify for the Champions League. Those have changed. Arsenal are going to win the league. There will be a sense of disappointment should they not win it. The same as City. If they don't win it, they'll be disappointed. The fact they've won 4 in the last 5 years means nothing to this individual season. They want to win it. They want to keep growing their history and their heritage, and they want to progress their club in that way. I think it's absolutely right in what he's saying there, but Arsenal are going to go for it. Now, I want to take a little listen to ESPN here. And I also want to shout out that a lot of people come at me, oh, you only ever show negative things about Arsenal. That means you don't watch enough of our content. That's on you. By the way, you can download the latest episode of the Top 6 podcast. Scan the QR code on the screen. But let's take a little listen here to ESPN.
I'm going to stick with them because, as Ian said, yes, there are some big hurdles to get over. But they've faced adversity this season more than once before. I mean, after the loss at Everton, they were losing at Aston Villa away from home. They left it late with the Jorginho sort of equalising his first goal from the club as they pushed, and then Martinelli got the third. I thought that was a big statement. There had been even the Bournemouth game at home when they were losing against a team threatened with relegation, came back with that late goal from Reece Nelson. So they've faced adversity before, but I understand a lot of people out there, because of the performance in the second half, just automatically think that this Arsenal team are going to fold. And I just don't see it that way. I mean, they did not play well at Liverpool against one of Liverpool's better performances, and there's not been many this year, but one of Liverpool's really on-song second half. And yes, Salah missed a penalty, but they were a few minutes away from taking 3 points.
What Craig Burley has said there is so true. Every time Arsenal have made a mistake this year, is over-indexed. It is over-indexed to, that's it, they're done, they're finished. And that has been the same since pre-season. I understand that Man City have got a history in recent years under Pep Guardiola of seeing things through. But this prerequisite guaranteed analysis has still got the chance to have a sting in its tail. And that's my view on this. I think Arsenal are going to bounce back and win the next 2 games. I think they're going to go into the game at the Etihad 9 points clear of City. And the psychological damage, or the psychological advantage more so than damage, that will give them in that game is huge. It really, really is.
And you can't play well all the time. So I'm sticking with Arsenal. I think it's going to be tight, and obviously it's a blow for them. But they've picked themselves off the canvas before this season, and whilst they're not on the canvas after that game, they're certainly on the ropes a little bit.
And I do understand why they feel on the ropes, because as I've said already, before everybody starts saying I'm biased, City are a formidable team. The form they're in right now is imperious. They're emphatic in relation to killing games off right now. But do you think City are going to maintain that for the rest of the season? I suppose that is the big question. Let's take a listen to a Gooner that phoned into TalkSPORT and what he had to say to Cundy and O'Hara.
Retract it. Right, I'm taking that back, Danny boy. Right, I'm taking it back.
O'Hara, stand up.
No. Okay, Dan.
Yes.
So here's what I'm asking you now. Are you saying if you get beaten by City, the title's over? Is that what you're saying?
I don't want to say it, but I just feel like it's all down to that game. And if I can get a point at that game, maybe even a point at Newcastle and beat Chelsea, would we still win it?
I think.
We are going off the basis, though, that Manchester City are going to win every game.
Yes, they're not going to do that.
I can't see that.
And I think Jamie O'Hara is right there. And this is the thing. I'm not writing City off completely. I know I'm predicting Arsenal to win the league. But I'm also, the world's so polarized now. Everybody just takes your prediction as, you're saying everybody else is shit. It's very weird to me. City can win this. City have got a great chance of winning it. I do not believe the form they're in now is going to be the same in every match they play. By the way, they've got an FA Cup semi-final, an FA Cup final, second leg of the Champions League, 2 Champions League semi-final games. To maintain this level of performance, I think the analysis, people say that I'm biased towards Arsenal. I'm not. I'm very balanced and open. But I think it's very biased towards Man City to say they're going to win every game at a canter, easy. So Arsenal need to be 100% perfect. Are they going to be? Are they going to be able to maintain that, fighting on all 3 fronts? I don't know. But listening to what that Arsenal fan said there, I do think they need a positive result at Man City. A draw or a win. I mean, a win would be absolutely astronomical, or a draw. They win the next 2 Premier League games and go into it 9 points clear. A draw keeps them 9 points clear. Yes, City will have 2 games in hand, but I've been in title races where you're behind a team with games in hand. The pressure is different. They're not guaranteed 3 points. It's going to be very interesting, but I want your thoughts and your feelings, because there's a lot of talk around this year. I haven't really made any content on it for you to address it in its entirety. Some gooners positive, some negative. What do you think and feel? Up next, let's take a little look here at what might be going on at Tottenham in relation to Vincent Kompany. There's a story that states that Vincent Kompany is Tottenham's first choice to take over in the summer after Antonio Conte's departure last month, with Daniel Levy seeing the Belgium as a coach who can give the club a new dimension. Now, it's an interesting one, and I get why they're looking at him. Let's take a little listen here to what Ambrose had to say about this on TalkSPORT.
Kompany tomorrow.
Absolutely, I would, yes. I think he plays fantastic football. The turnaround that he's done at Burnley in terms of the style of play has been nothing short of remarkable for me. When Sean Dyche obviously left, they had a real... You talk about Burnley, you think they're a tough team to go to, they're direct. Now they play fantastic football, promoted to the Premier League already, going to be champions, absolutely. And yes, I would. And I was tongue-in-cheek comments saying Palace should go for him. He wouldn't have gone to Burnley away from Palace, because I think he would see that not as an upward move, although I think that would be personally. But Tottenham Hotspur, if they came in for someone like Vincent Kompany, now I think Gabby said it as well.
Ambrose here is right. Spurs are a step up. They're a bigger and more famous and successful club than Burnley, there's no doubt. I think Vincent Kompany could be potentially a very good signing for Tottenham as manager. But I actually think both parties should leave it. Kompany has looked great in the Championship, and I'm not suggesting he will not look great in the Premier League. But, and there is a but here, Frank Lampard, in his first season as Derby manager, looked brilliant. Steven Gerrard in Scotland with Rangers looked amazing. These are fledgling managers who I think need time to iron out their management style, their man management, go for adversity, handle pressures. Taking on a job at Tottenham is a whole different kettle of fish to managing Burnley. Equally, Vincent Kompany needs to look at it from that exact same angle. Terribly run club from a football standpoint at Tottenham. Awful sort of chairman in Daniel Levy. A club that hasn't tasted success in terms of any trophy for about 15 years. Hasn't won a trophy other than the League Cup for the best part of 30 years. I don't even know the date the last time they won a league title, but you're probably looking at about 40 to 50 years. I just think it seems to make sense when you say Vincent Kompany and Tottenham on paper, but I think he's too inexperienced and they're run too poorly. You add that together, and it could be a concoction for disaster. It truly could be a concoction for disaster. It may end up happening. It may end up being a success, and people will come back and say, "Terry, you were wrong about that." And I'll hold my hands up as I always do when I make mistakes or my opinions are wrong. But I just get a horrible gut feeling that it could just be that too much at stake too soon for both parties. But I'd love your take on that. Vincent Kompany to Tottenham, right or wrong move? Give me your thoughts and feelings. And everything else we discussed today, I'd love to see your comments below on that as well. Please make sure you like the video before you leave. Subscribe to the Football Terrace and turn on that bell notification button. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again soon. Thank you.